Dave.
Ian.
You are Dave. I am Ian. It is Sunday, November 8th. And let me just say.
Right.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
I would say an emotional roller coaster of a week.
Yep. Let's be perfectly honest about why we didn't put an episode out on Thursday. It was truly for mental health days.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I was not in a place to be a zany car show person.
Yeah, I wasn't really either. Yeah.
Because it seemed like it was going to be touch and go with the election. And obviously, in retrospect, not really that touch and go. But
right.
We're going to get to unpacking all of that. There's probably not going to be
takeaways.
Yeah. Probably honestly not going to be that much car content tonight.
Right.
If we're honest, because we got things to talk about, and you're here whether you like it or not. So whatever.
Are our listeners under duress right now?
All of our listeners are mandatory listeners. You didn't know that?
Okay. Gotcha.
It's only prisoners and torture victims. That's it.
Okay, and people confined to the state of Florida.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. All of our listeners are under duress. Yes.
Okay.
All five of them. But I want to start on the lightest note, and it's almost a wistful one, because if there's anything I will miss about this era that is kind of coming to a close,
right?
It's the beautiful, beautiful incompetence of these wet-brained, dumb motherfuckers.
The worst. There's the worst people doing the worst things, right?
Yes, but also they're doing the worst things poorly.
Right. Doing the worst people doing the worst things, and they're doing the worst job at it.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes. So what the specific incident that I'm talking about is the press conference that Rudy Giuliani had at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping parking lot.
Right.
In between the sex shop
and the crematorium. Right.
Oh my God.
So I think it's a wonderful example of the dishonesty that just runs is dishonesty the right word? It runs so deep. It's basically the way that Trump is about his hair, that absolute state of denial and the emperor's new clothes, right?
Right. Obliviousness.
Yeah.
Oblivious.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember who it was, but I remember I love to listen to people talk about comedy or whatever.
Yeah.
And like what makes the mechanics of comedy. And it might have been Judd Apatow. I don't remember. Anyway, somebody was talking about how the best comedy recipe is confidence and incompetence at the same time.
Yes.
People who are oblivious to their incompetence.
Yes.
There is no better example of that than the Four Seasons Total Landscaping press conference.
Right? Because somebody went, "Are you sure this is where it's supposed to be?" And then they were just screamed at. Yes, this is where it's supposed to be, Brian.
Yeah.
Right?
Mwah.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So they had a press conference in an alley.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course,
like razor wire lined parking lot.
In Philly, because it's in Philly. Right? And no one could go back and say we need to change this, right? It's a plot too crazy for Veep, and here it is happening.
Well, and the best part is it's another good example of when another like kind of hallmark of this era is like when someone obviously calls in to a reporter with what is the best case scenario explanation, like the most generous explanation.
Right.
And then that is still absurd. Right. So there was a story that came out afterwards that said that it was that basically all of their other press conferences had been drowned out by critics of the president, like blasting Beyonce and shouting obscenities and stuff.
They couldn't find anywhere to actually have a quiet mic.
Right. So, like, even the most generous possible thing is we're too unpopular to even explain ourselves for 5 minutes.
Right.
Is insane.
And that's the best case that we can give them.
Right. That was the walk back. That was the walk back. Which brings me, Dave, to an FMK Cars.
FMK Cars is the game that Ian and I play on the Apex Adjacent podcast. We love each other very much. Yeah. We love you, and this is the game we play.
It's the game we play on the show when we desperately need to pretend that this is about cars.
Okay. Yes. There you go.
All right.
Okay.
So this one is called, and I'm not going to lie.
I can't wait for this.
Pretty proud of my title. The Court Yard-Long Hot Dog Stand by Marriott.
The Courtyard-Long Hot Dog
by Marriott.
I'm into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cars with a misunderstanding twist.
Okay.
These all have the same twist, essentially. So you'll get where I'm going with this.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is a 1995 Lincoln Continental.
Okay.
Everyone thinks you're going to show up in a 2020 Bentley Continental.
Yes. Okay. I like where you're going with this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So the next one is a 2020 Dacia Duster. Everyone thinks you'll be showing up in a hot-rodded Plymouth Duster.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There's the Dacia Duster.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, just
amazingly
cheap.
Right.
You want to show the people a Plymouth Duster?
Oh yeah, good idea.
Refresh everyone's memory. Everyone knows what a Bentley Continental looks like.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Right. How sweet is that? Look at that in this green 71. Yeah. That's perfect. That's the perfect hot rod.
Right.
Okay.
Last one is a 2020 Nissan Rogue.
Oh no. Okay.
Everyone thinks you'll be showing up in an AMC Rambler Rogue.
Okay. All right, let's pull up one of those. Okay. AMC.
This one was a little bit more of an obscure one. The Rambler Rogue was basically it had the V8.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I thought you were going to say, like, I'm driving a Nissan Rogue, but everyone thinks I'm going to be piggybacking Dwayne the Rogue Johnson in. I know it's The Rock. But remember the Rogue that I saw with Dwayne the Rogue Johnson. Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
No.
Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. I have a story about a Lincoln Continental. But and it's very short. But I'm killing the Nissan Rogue, right?
Naturally.
I mean, yeah. Okay. I am.
Although the Dacia Duster, I actually share a drivetrain with the Nissan Rogue. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
I didn't think about that until just now, but it may actually.
Okay.
Nissan Toronto.
I'm marrying the Dacia Duster.
Oh, really?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for a day, I'm going to drive the Lincoln Continental. People dealing with being disappointed that I'm not showing up in a Plymouth Duster. Those are the people that I'm fine disappointing.
Okay.
Right? But
okay.
Yeah. But the people,
they're wingadingas?
Yes. Right?
Okay.
And I'd be like, it's a Duster. Right?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Okay. Right. And they're probably just all dad jokey and pun filled anyway. So they can kind of give it to me. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The Lincoln Continental versus Bentley Continental people, I prefer to steer clear of them. Right? So best not for them to even come into my radar, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay. And quick story about Lincoln Continental. Okay. So I was in college, fresh, my first year of college. I was in a math class that I accidentally somehow got in that was too low for me. It was like very entry level mathematics. And the first day was like seriously like just x plus 1 equals 3, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. I need to get out of here. So before I realized that, a guy sat down behind me, and I noticed him when he came in because he ducked when he came in the doorway. He was so tall, he instinctively ducked at every doorway he went through. And I asked him, of course, how tall he was. 6'9". Okay. Yeah, right. He sat behind me, and one knee was here, the other knee was here, right? And I remember turning around to him and just going, "What car do you drive?" And he was like, "A Lincoln Continental." Like, he could fit in a Lincoln Continental. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Right?
Makes
yeah.
sense.
So there you go. There you go. Johnson County Community College. There we go. Yep. Yeah. So what would you do? Who would you choose to disappoint? Because that's how I'm framing it. Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's the right way to look at it. I would choose to disappoint the Lincoln Continental people, so I think that's what I would marry.
Okay. I think that's a great car to marry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for a day, I would drive the Dacia Duster, even though I think it's pretty much the same car as the Nissan Rogue.
Right. Okay.
Underneath. Okay. And I would crush the Rogue.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Because I think if anyone knew about the AMC Rogue,
yeah,
that would be a big disappointment.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And also it seems like AMC just seems like a cooler crowd. Cooler / more nerdy crowd.
Right.
Than your average muscle car crowd.
Right. They seem a little bit less accessible, a little bit more esoteric. Right.
Right.
They're not just Chevelle people. Right.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah. They seem to have a like a left, just off of center taste. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They are not, as the children say, basic bitches.
Exactly. You need to stop teaching your children to say these things. Mr. Dave's a basic bitch. Right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff. Let's talk about the
courtyard long hot dog by Marriott. Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to get in there one more time before we dive.
It's a wonderful thing to think about that just shows the absurdity of the times that we're in, right?
Yeah.
Because for all of the insane bad shit that's happening, we do need to kind of pluck out these little moments, because those are the kinds of things that will help us survive, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. It's like a Nathan for You thing, but in real life.
Did you see the tweet going around about the Nathan for You?
Yeah.
And it was like, the plan. Name your landscaping business after a famous hotel chain and get the president to schedule a press conference.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I think you and I were both having a pretty rough time. I mean, we've been having a rough time. I kind of look at this and, like, when I talk to my therapist and my wife and stuff, I feel like the frog that's been slowly boiled over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think I realized the degree of trauma that I've been dealing with until there was some kind of glimmer of change. Right?
Well, that, and I just I felt like exhausted.
Yeah.
I felt like Saturday, like Friday and Saturday, especially, I just felt exhausted. Like after it became apparent that Biden was going to win, it was just like you said, like the water finally started to boil. Right.
Or you realized how hot it had been turned up to. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way. That's a good way to put it. And also, I mean, I think Tuesday night was, you know, like flashback inducing of like 2016 of
Right.
like, oh God, he's going to win again.
Right.
And,
Right.
and also disappointment that 70 million people
Yes.
lived through the exact same 4 years that we did.
Right. Right.
And we're like, oh no, this is great.
yeah, and still
Let's
voted
do
for
this
him.
again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. The 70 million thing is absolutely the hardest thing, and it shows us a scale of how deep the divide is in this country. Right.
Yes. And I think there's go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I never thought it was that big. Never thought it was that big. But it just seemed like there were so many people that just doubled down, and that just destroyed me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I've been nonstop, obviously, thinking about. I realized how much I was focused on this when I realized I like looked at my work calendar and also like our shared family calendar, and I realized neither of us had scheduled anything past this past Tuesday.
Right.
Because I think, like in our minds, it was just like this is a deadline.
Yeah, we couldn't think beyond it. That's a really good thing that you picked up on, because you are absolutely accurate. Yeah.
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 And like, and I mean, to the point where I had stuff like I have a presentation tomorrow, and like things that I have scheduled on my work calendar for after the election that to me just weren't real.
Right.
Because like they didn't those dates don't exist to me.
Yes, we were serial human beings at that point. We had to get a data before we could even go beyond that. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, so I've been thinking a lot about, obviously I have probably more than the average, I would say probably more than the average Biden voter. I have a lot of Trump voters in my life.
Yeah.
That I interact with on a daily basis, that I have to be friendly with or whatever.
Right. Right.
And I just been thinking nonstop about what I know about them and also, seeing already the circular firing squad before the transition has even started among Democrats. And the thing that I keep coming back to is a discussion that we had not that long ago about white people in particular thinking of things as zero sum only.
Okay.
And I think, I've joked a lot about how like kind of hapless the Democrats are and hapless liberalism has become in this country, and even and the left as well.
Right.
But like, I think what it boils down to is that zero sum thing, because whether you're talking about race or economics or whatever, there's a certain segment of the population that will only think in zero sum terms. And progressive, like the salesmanship of progressive policies has always been around appealing to people to not be selfish.
Right.
And I think that's wrong, and that's never worked. What has worked is appealing to people to be selfish in a more smart way.
So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So what I mean is like, the kid down the street getting a better education is also good for you.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
And even people like to make these like to talk about historical examples like World War II or going to the moon or things like that.
Right.
And talking about them as though people were less selfish then. But I don't think that's true. I think people recognize that shared effort was going to benefit them eventually.
Right. And there were a lot of motivating factors besides that benefit. There was a lot of fear, right? Especially around the space race, right?
Right, but that's also a inherently selfish motivator.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I'm self-preservation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for whatever reason, there's a long history of why this is. I think but we've lost any ability to have that language for this shared outcome is good for you, the individual.
Right.
And it only goes the other way, right?
Right.
Like this sacrifice that you're going to make is going to benefit somebody else.
Right. Right.
And that's not how it works.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know, it's crazy to me. Like healthcare is a great example where
Yes.
we have this idea that, you know, I think anybody who is anti socialized medicine, which that drives me fucking crazy too, because it's socialized insurance. Nobody's suggesting that doctors and nurses will become government employees.
Right.
But anyway, semantics aside, like I think if any of the people who are super against that would also say that entrepreneurship is good for the country. Like it'd be good. It's good when people start small businesses.
Right. Right.
But and they would say that would be good for them if their neighbor started a small business.
Yes.
I think they can make that leap.
Right.
But they don't make the leap to, we've tied health insurance to people's employment. And so that's the biggest barrier to people leaving their jobs and starting a new business on this great idea they have.
Right. Right.
So that I think is what is missing. That's the missing link politically. And then there's the whole like media ecosystem issue, which is a whole other ball of wax.
Right. 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 I think that there's some like the desire to identify yourself as self-reliant also comes into that healthcare example, right? Because people say like, well, I have a job, I'm employed, then I'm entitled to healthcare, right? But somebody who doesn't work as hard as I do to get a job or to stay employed, right? They don't deserve to have these things that come as a benefit of that hard work. Right.
Right.
So that like I'm tending my yard, right? But then not understanding that if that person doesn't have a job for whatever reason, and they have to go to the ED and their costs are higher, that it impacts that person's costs and that person's premiums as well, even though they have a job and they're paying their own insurance, right? That all of this, like this, the healthcare system is a closed loop. Like we all have to bear the burden of it, right?
Right. One way or another.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So we all have to assume the cost of that healthcare, and it is so unequal now, right? It's so crazy. Like the distribution's all over the map, right? That just being able to say like, well, I have a job, you know, I'm taking care of myself and my family. You know, this freeloader doesn't deserve to have insurance because they're not going to. Or if you give them insurance, then you're taking away their motivation for working, right? Mm-hmm. That is such a narrow-minded thing. But I can see why people fall into that trap, right? I've seen my mom fall into that trap about education and student loans. She was watching the news one time when I was at the house and the primaries were still happening on the Democratic side. And she was saying like, if Bernie Sanders is going to pay for everyone's college, I'm not paying for everyone's college. Like, my tax dollars aren't paying that, and I was like, well, you do have a niece that is taking student loans and you've already paid for 2 semesters of her school out of your own pocket, so one of you is going to be paying, one of you's not, like, and also the money's going to be cut from other sources. So you're not going to pay, your money's just going to go to a different place.
Well, and again, it's doing selfishness incorrectly.
Yes. No, that's a great way to look at it, Ian. Yeah.
Like we know that paying for early childhood education is way cheaper than paying for prisons later. We know these things pay off,
right?
But we don't do them because liberty.
Because it's a harder thing to sell. It's harder to sell that than to not sell anything, right?
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think that's definitely the handicap that progressives have to play with,
right?
But at the same time, yeah, I think appealing to people's, you know, uh, selflessness
Right.
is obviously not a winning message,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because otherwise, you know, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and all these other policies that are like, you know, boogeymans on the right
Right.
would
Right.
be even more wildly popular than they already are.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I think there is nothing wrong with appealing to people's selfishness
Right.
because it also has the benefit of being true. You
Right.
know, like these investments would benefit everyone.
Right, exactly. Think about climate change, right? People living in colder climate, there's going to be mass population movements, right? At
Right.
some
Someone,
point.
well, and also, I mean, just the ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure thing,
Yeah.
it is worth it for the person in Iowa
Yes.
for New Orleans not to be underwater.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That they benefit from
Right.
that.
Right.
And I don't understand why we don't cast things in that way.
Right.
It's really frustrating.
I think part of I mean, obviously I'm relieved that Biden won, right? I
Yeah.
I'm relieved. So there has been a bit of like shit, like the air is a little bit clear now, right? There's a few things that come with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the trauma that I was in before, having a clearer vision about how bad things were, seeing the quantity of people that doubled down on that, 70 million goddamn people, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Then also knowing that it is still like this progress and this change that needs to happen in order to make equality and justice and all of these things that we need to bend in the right direction, that those are in the hands of human beings, right? And human beings that are perfectly capable of doing it and also fucking it up, right?
Yeah.
And so for anybody that's just looking at this, like Biden's victory as like, all right, we've like George W. Bush mission accomplished, like, oh, we fixed racism. We fixed like, no. And you can tell that they're concerned about people feeling that way. Otherwise their messaging wouldn't be what it is. Right. But knowing that there's still just tons of work that needs to happen. And we've never had a picture so clear as to how divided things are. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, to your point about, you know, the work sort of just beginning is like, I like to say that the Trump era has been governing by entropy.
Yes.
Of just like, let's see what happens.
Right.
If no one's at the wheel.
Well, unless you're Mitch McConnell, then you install over 220 some odd federal judges. But
right. But from the executive side,
exactly.
it was 100%. Let's see how long Tesla autopilot will take me before I crash into a brick wall.
There you go. Yep.
You know.
Yep. And then it was the brick wall's fault.
Absolutely.
Right.
So who put a brick wall there?
Right.
The Democrats,
exactly.
obviously.
Exactly.
Antifa.
Antifa
wall.
Yep. Antifa wall. Those Antifa people pooping ballots, man.
Antifa laying bricks.
Yep. Yeah. Right.
They love it. They love their masonry.
Yeah. Right.
Masons.
So yeah. So it's an explanation of why we could still have a victory at the top level and still have a really rough time with things, right?
Right.
You know, I don't want to sour any victories, but I want to be realistic and pragmatic, you know?
Yeah. And I you know, I'm not gonna lie, I was really hoping for like an obvious no shit.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right, exactly. The gesture that we needed to put people and like to put people that think about QAnon and about like all of this shit, right?
Yeah.
To put all of those people in a position where they're like, oh, like we're not the cool kids in school, like for talking about this shit. Like we're like the world's not with us. Maybe there's a reason.
Right. Well, and not only that, I mean, at this point, the math of the election results is so screwed up that Republicans will still think that you know, brand of Trumpism,
Right.
for lack of a better term,
Yes.
is a benefit for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And I think that he's still going to be around, which is a big problem because he wasn't the problem, right? He was a problem.
He was a symptom of the underlying disease.
Right. And I think that underlying disease is what I was talking about. I think it's seeing things in zero sum terms, which is a very easily manipulated worldview. Right. Because if you think that anything that costs you something is necessarily taking from you,
right,
you know, then it's easy to cast any sort of collective effort or collectivism or however you want to put it as an attack on you.
Right.
And that already existed before he was there. And so I think that is the big problem, but we can't really address it without that extra like sprinkling of cult of personality being removed from it.
Right. And I do want to say that when you're talking about like the zero sum thinking and the cost, it's not just financial, right?
Right.
Because when something is
status
explains
the race part of it.
Exactly. Status, right? Like all the homophobia, you know, anti-trans, like race, like all the racism, like when somebody feels like something is being taken from them, like their status of like when they feel like because they're white, they're better than somebody, right? That's not right. When they feel like somebody is taking that away from them, instead of it being explained to them that that's wrong and it does not benefit them, right? To have those views, right? That our culture thrives on diversity, right? That it's very easy for that hate to come in because they feel like something's being taken from them, right? Their country's being taken, their heritage is being taken. Taking down Confederate monuments is taking something from them, right?
Right.
You know? Yeah. Right. So
I agree.
It extends into so many cultural identity aspects, like all of this stuff just beyond a tax dollar, beyond, you know, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's sort of all of the above, which is why I get so, in particular, driven crazy by this sort of like, you know, leftist versus liberal infighting of like it's identity politics versus class.
Yeah,
like you cannot separate the two.
Right.
You know, it is a way of seeing the world that they are both intertwined.
Yes.
And if the person you're trying to convince is seeing the world that way, then you kind of have to as well, you know?
Right.
And you can't separate the two. And I think that especially leftists attempt to do that.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to my first statement, which is
right. Car show, everybody. You know? Yeah.
I'm going to, in my defense, I did think of a really good car analogy for this.
Okay.
And I've completely forgotten.
Nice. If you remember it, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I had thought about it on the way to the coffee shop earlier, and I've completely forgotten about it.
Okay.
Because that was 6 hours ago / 10 years. I don't know.
Right. It was. Yes. Okay. So given that everything is still in motion, right? Senate races are still up in the air. We feel like an incremental step has been made, right?
Yes.
But obviously there's an entire giant, like my wife and I were talking earlier, it's like there's just an insane mound of shit and like one shovelful's been taken off the top, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, it's a pretty keystone shovelful, right? But it's
got something stuck to the top of it that looks vaguely like hair.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But we still have this mountain of shit to deal with, right? And so we still have Senate runoff races that people need to get involved in, right? Like so my buddy Steven is like super politically engaged, and I really admire him for his political activism. He worked on tons of campaigns, and he reached out to me and was like, hey, like I'm working on these. And I was like, oh, like that's awesome. I'll work on Warnock's, right, in Georgia, right? And so Warnock in Georgia, OSOF in Georgia, like we need people to donate. We need people to phone and text bank. We're going to put some resources in the show description on how to do that. It's super easy. They run virtual events, and the phone banking and text banking is super easy. So, in addition to donations, like this is super clutch stuff that's coming up that people need to be involved in and people need to know about, because there's so much that can't happen if we don't take the Senate as well. We need to get to 50-50 or majority. We need either Kamala to be the tie-breaking vote, or we need the majority in the Senate. So without that, no Supreme Court happens, no Supreme Court expansion, no filibuster removal, no, like there's so many things that can't happen because of that.
Well, I mean, even just like normal legislation.
Exactly, right? Stimulus money for the fucking pandemic that we're all still dealing with.
Cabinet pick approvals.
Yep.
Your pet cabinet pick is not going to get approved, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's on and on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate your call to action, and I am going to take that to heart, because I phone banked for Joe Biden. I know you phone banked in other battleground states. I phone banked here in Colorado.
Yeah, he was just Warnock in Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What out of a Joe Biden administration do you want to see transportation policy, since we're ostensibly a car show?
Well, it is infrastructure week, so
and it has been for 4 years.
Right. I think
infrastructure week. See, that's the stuff I'm gonna miss.
Right. That's a great question, Ian. That's a great question. The thing that I want is I want somebody in those roles that's competent and that has an altruistic motivation, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like all of these cabinet picks that Trump had, as they just rotated through, right? But like, has Ben Carson been effective at HUD, right?
Right.
Has he? Yeah. We don't know, right?
Governing by, well, I mean, he did lose his luggage.
Right. And he did get the shit kicked out of him by Katie Porter when she asked him what an REO was.
Right. Yes.
And Katie Porter, she is awesome. So,
yeah.
I want competence. I want competence and I want honesty, right? That's all I want, because we've had nothing but these people that come in and they're like, I got to get my nut. Right. Like, this is my, like, I'm just here for this. Right.
Yeah.
Going
like stealing silverware.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. Yes. And so I honestly, I just want people that are in there that make policies that they can explain and be honest about.
Right.
That's it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm much more demanding than
okay,
that.
I was going to ask you, what do you want? You want autonomous cars and gas cars existing together forever.
I think autonomous cars are a fucking stupid pipe dream, and they always have been. I think autonomous cars is really great for raising venture capital.
Right, exactly.
And not so great for actually existing in the real world.
Right.
I think I would like to see a de-emphasizing of that, honestly.
Okay.
Of AI driven stuff.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to transit. I think investing in actual mass transit.
Yes. Yeah.
Is what I would like to see. I would like to see a pro-transit Secretary of Transportation.
Right.
I would like to see, kind of a carve out for enthusiasts.
Yeah.
To exist and maintain their dumb gas cars
Right.
for recreation.
I think what you're asking for is somebody that takes in the entire ecosystem of something that they're dealing with, right? Because I don't think we've ever had somebody during the Trump's single term that really focuses on a wide, like on all of the elements that you can't separate out of things, right?
Correct. Yes. But I mean, honestly, I think just de-emphasizing the car in transportation policy
Right.
would, in the long term, be good for everybody and also enthusiasts.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Roads are too crowded, and if we let things get to an emergency point where nobody can drive, that's not good for us either.
Right.
So, I think I would love it if I never had to use my car except for when I really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it may get more expensive to do that, but that's a price I'm willing to pay for, more open roads and easier transit between cities and to the grocery store and everywhere else I need to go.
Right. The instead of like just sheer quantity, you're paying for quality experiences around all of those things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. I get that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think investing in battery technology would be huge, both from a car and bicycle standpoint.
Yep, for sure.
And would make cities so much better. I think I would like to see federal grants for bike lanes and
absolutely
and mass transit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think that should necessarily be a top-down decision of like, I don't think it should be a one-size-fits all. I don't think I wouldn't support like light rail in every city.
Right. Right.
It should be different for every city.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot this week, Dave.
I get it. I have to. My wife and I were talking about like just how we haven't been able to think what would have happened if Trump won, right? Where it's just a big black box, right? Like we couldn't think about it, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't let ourselves, and that manifested itself in your calendar, right? Right. You just couldn't get there, right?
Yeah.
And so we've been hung up on that and kind of like discussing that a lot instead of like, we're not to the point where we feel like we can say what we want other than like the fucking bullshit executive orders that Trump did rolled back. We need to be back in Paris climate. We need to be back in good standing with the World Health Organization, NATO, NATO. We need to be back in with that. We need the dreamers to fucking stay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all of these people's lives are so negatively impacted because of all of that shit. And with a stroke of the pen, Biden can undo that, thankfully.
Well, and just to reemphasize, if you're listening to this somehow still at this point, and you think like, oh, the dreamers, I don't want my tax dollars going to help them. Them staying helps you.
Right.
That is another great example of like our country measurably benefits from you could put a dollar amount on it.
Right.
We benefit from them staying and paying taxes and contributing and
right. Yeah. I know, right? Yeah, because like if a kid was brought to America under whatever circumstances when they were a 2-year-old, and now they're 18, let's fucking deport them from whatever country they were dragged from. Like, it's like I'm so looking forward to Stephen Miller being the fuck out. Like all of the xenophobia, not having a president or somebody with the presidency or that's endorsing that shit. Right.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. What I'm not looking forward to are the next 60 days of just fucking smash and grab.
Dude, 72, 73 days, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by the time this comes out, we will already be deep into it.
Yeah.
And also, just the ghouls that we will never be rid of.
Yeah.
Like think about all of the Nixon motherfuckers that we still have to deal with.
Yeah, right.
All the Bush people we still have to deal with. If I have to see fucking Ari Fleischer one more time.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, John Woo came up again.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy forever.
Right.
Or even, you know, Rahm Emanuel. Fuck that guy. We have to deal with him still.
Right, right.
You know, and I'm sure in 5 years we're going to see, you know, Steve Bannon booked on a Sunday show.
Oh my God.
You know,
he'll be hitting us up for a podcast spot.
Yeah.
Fuck that dude forever, man.
But all of them, like, we're going to have, we're going to be, we're stuck with these people.
Right. And people listening to those people.
Yeah. We're going to be stuck with Don Jr. He's my age.
Yeah.
We're going to be stuck with him for, I don't know, based on my health, 10 years at least?
No, man. Like, you're not doing that much coke. It's fine. It's fine. You keep it locked down. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, right? Like, I think that it's one of those things where the more honest you are about the situation, the less opportunities there are for happiness, right?
Right.
And that's a thing that just happens in life in general, right? People that have an insanely high degree of honesty are usually the least happy, right? Right. That's just how it shakes out, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I would rather be honest and confront my feelings and pay my therapist my copay, right? Than to fucking lie to myself about things, you know? Yeah.
Right. Well, this has been fun.
It has. Would you like some levity? Because I have some dumb shit that we can get angry at, that we can laugh at. I have some stuff.
I would love some more dumb shit besides the courtyard long hot dog stand by Marriott.
That's a beautiful statement. That's a beautiful FMK cars. Okay. All right. Ian, I'm going to hit you up with something that makes you happy first.
Okay.
Boo and I saw this today. All right. Here you go. Ian.
Yes.
Tell people what you're looking at right now.
That is like a Gulf liveried, the blue and orange Gulf livery on a Fiat Abarth. And I've never wanted to just like grab something and put it in my pocket more than right now.
Right. I rolled down the window because, of course, those things sound fantastic. And my wife was like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sound so angry.
Right.
I love them so much.
It's like a puppy that's like play fighting. It's angry and adorable.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There's your amuse bouche, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Now I'm going to have some stuff that maybe makes you mad.
Just like this last week. Just a little sprinkle of good news.
You know what? Great metaphor. Okay.
Yeah.
So some vanity plates. All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I love it when you give a world-weary sigh before you show it to me. That's how I know it's going to be good.
Let me grab my phone to make sure that I credit these correctly because there's a couple. In the meantime, Ian, here, look at this Hyundai I saw on the highway the other day. Or is that an Infiniti G30?
That's an Infiniti.
G37, yeah.
With a falling off body kit.
Yeah.
And a very hilarious F1 style rain light.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, the whole rear diffuser
honestly,
was being held on by that light.
Yeah. This is the type of thing where I would say, and I mean this in the worst possible way, it looks like I did this.
It's just dragging behind him at 75 miles an hour on I-25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I love that he also has smoke taillights, which is the dumbest fucking mod you can possibly do.
Right? Right? Yeah.
Oh my God.
What?
I just realized
what?
I have a story to tell.
You have a story? Okay. All right. Let me hear it.
So do you remember a few weeks ago when you commended me on my calmness when the guy was beating my window with a rock?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm about to very severely undercut your picture of me as a calm person.
Okay. All right. Okay. So for anyone who didn't know, Ian saw a person taking a rock to the window of his beloved Volkswagen R32 and didn't beat the shit out of the person.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. You de-escalated the situation.
Yes. Now I'm going to tell you a story about how I did the exact opposite of that.
I want to hear it.
Okay. So I was driving along. This was right before the election. This would have been last weekend.
Okay.
I was driving on Spear.
Uh-huh.
Back towards my neighborhood. North on Spear, back towards downtown, basically.
Okay.
Coming from and I see behind me one of those just absolute chodes who drive in a pickup truck that drives around with the aftermarket fog lights on.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's a brodozer, so they're like at eye level for me.
Yes.
And the LED
Usually
lights are
just over your car. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just absurdly bright.
Right.
And they're like, it's a clear day out because it's Colorado and it's always a clear day.
Right.
And there's no reason to be driving with your fog lamps on. Well, I thought to myself, look at this fucking Trump supporter.
Okay.
Look at this Trump voter with his fog lights on.
Right. Every time we see a brodozer, that's what we think. Right.
Well, I just saw the fog lights at first, and I was like, Trump voters drive with their fog lights on as like a kind of like, you've seen the sticker in Colorado. We have the bumper sticker that Trump skis with skis and jeans.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Same sort of energy to that thought. Right. And then he comes past me and he's one of the Trump truck people with the flags.
Yes. Okay. All right. Uh-huh.
And, it's a stressful time. Not proud. I got very angry because,
right.
He's driving into my neighborhood.
Right. And
that shit with the flags is just, that's being a brown shirt.
Yes.
It's 100% meant to intimidate.
Yeah.
Because they're all like big lifted trucks.
Yep.
And he's got the fog lights on.
Right.
And he's got the big flags. And one of them's the Blue Lives Matter flag, which.
Yeah.
That one gets me.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And kind of lost my temper.
Okay. All right.
And so I yelled out I zoomed in front of him. I was in my R32 and I zoomed in front of him and I gave him a thumbs down and I booed at him.
Uh-huh.
And then he came up behind me and I was like, oh,
okay,
this motherfucker.
It's going to get real.
So then I basically scared him with my exhaust noise. I started revving my engine at him and he ran away.
Okay.
He ran away, and I know he ran away because I caught him back in my neighborhood and in one of the narrow streets and refused to let him to pass.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Ian.
So, yeah.
First of all, please don't get murdered.
That was me road raging at a fucking brown shirt motherfucker. Shit drives me crazy.
The Apex Adjacent podcast does not endorse road rage or physical interactions with anyone.
We do endorse punching Nazis.
We do fucking endorse punching Richard Spencer and Nazis, which are the same thing. Yeah. Right? Okay. All right. Hang on. Okay.
Still angry.
Yeah. Okay. Here. Look at the Abarth.
Oh. Look at the little Abarth.
Look at the Abarth.
Oh, look at it. It's so cute.
Right. See, like,
but you know what? The Abarth, you know what I also like about the Abarth?
What's that?
It's also full of righteous fury.
Yes.
It's just, you can feel it. It's got that energy of just like,
yeah.
I'm gonna take the world on.
Yep, I punch above my weight and I'm never gonna fucking stop.
Yeah.
Until my engine seizes. Right. Okay. So I honestly can't even show you the other pictures that I have. I can't show you the vanity plates. I can't show you some of the stuff that listeners come in because I don't want you'd only get angry. You'd only get angry at this stuff, right? The only thing, how about I just show you an absurd thing? Okay?
Show me one angry thing. Angry is fun for everyone else, right?
Okay. All right. So our good buddy Adam Nielsen sent us this. Okay. All right. It's a picture of a Camaro. And the vanity plate says,
I'm going to need you to bring back the Abarth. I need you to bring back the Abarth. Quick. Oh, thank God.
The vanity plate.
It was that bad, everybody. It was that bad.
The vanity plate on the Camaro said EYEN 18. Iron 18. Uh-huh. Yeah. So this person's fucking gross.
So that's one so there's two explanations, and neither of them are especially great.
Right. Okay. Adam said he worked it over and over in his head. He said the guy was in his 40s listening to gangster rap, and he can't come up with anything that doesn't mean the plate isn't terrible.
Oh, he saw the driver. Okay.
Yep.
I was hoping that it was somebody's 18th birthday.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Like an 18th birthday present for like a spoiled kid.
Sure. Right. Because it looks like
a charitable explanation.
Yeah. There's a sticker on it that says this vehicle's a transformer. There's the Decepticons, like, but Bumblebee was an Autobot, so
correct.
Yeah.
So doesn't even make sense.
Is that the Decepticon logo or the Autobot logo?
I think it's the Decepticon logo, isn't it?
It is. Where's the icon? Images. Yeah, that's the Decepticon logo. So, wait, is it?
I love that.
No, it's not.
I love that you look at this and your most harsh critique is, that's not canon.
Bumblebee was an Autobot. Actually, yes, no. That's an Autobot sticker, right?
Well, and it says Autobots on his license plate.
Yeah.
Is that a Transformers reference?
Yeah.
Iron 18?
No. It is not. So, yeah, if it was a Transformers reference, the license plate would be Michael Bay explosion masturbation.
No, I have to think there's a better explanation,
Ian,
than he's trying to attract 18-year-olds.
Ian, I'm going to tell you, there is no better explanation. You have to, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to present you with evidence.
Oh no!
That there are other Camaro motherfuckers out there just as gross as this person. Okay. My wife and I saw this today, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. All right. It's a Camaro, the ZL1, and the license plate says
still 18.
And it was a 50-something-year-old, at least, dude.
Is 18? Hold on, I'm looking it up. 18 Camaro. Is that like a thing?
No. These people are pedophiles and inner children. Ian, you gotta accept it, buddy. You gotta accept it.
Well, I mean, I don't think this one is like
it's
I'm
not
trying to attract an 18-year-old.
Right.
This one is puzzling though, because it's like people who think their teen years are their best years.
See, there you go. That's exactly it. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And my wife and I were talking. It was like, oh, you think that's a good thing. Right?
Like, you could not pay me enough money to be in my teens again.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Worst fucking times.
It's awful.
Yeah. Horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
And it's also just like, even if they were your best years, why would you tell people that?
Right. Exactly. Right? Yeah. So, Ian, I apologize.
Give me the Abarth again.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
There it is.
Okay.
Thank God.
Okay.
Hey, little buddy.
So we're going to go out on the Abarth. We're going to save the
Okay.
rest of the stuff for next time. All
Okay.
right. Okay. You know, every time that we do a show, we can say it's the show we needed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very
That's
thankful
true.
for that fact. And it always will be, Ian. It always will be. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
At least until anybody actually starts to listen to this or pays us to do it. Correct.
Well, I love you.
I love you too, buddy. And thank you. I'm glad that we did this. And thank you for kicking for a week to kind of like let me organize my thoughts, because I think I probably just would have spent like 20 minutes just screaming into the mic. I'd had no organized thoughts whatsoever.
One huge takeaway is that everyone needs to be honest with themselves about their mental condition. We need to be honest
Right.
with ourselves. You need to take care of yourself, right? Early on in 2016, when Trump was elected, everybody was saying this is a marathon, right? This cannot be a sprint, right? We need to take care of ourselves. We need to have mental health days. You really have to balance everything, right?
Right.
And Ian and I had to do that with the show, right? Stuff just happens that way, and we need to be honest about it. And you need to take care of yourself. We want people to take care of themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
You deserve to take care of yourself, right? You absolutely do, Ian. You deserve to take care of yourself, for sure. All right.
The owner of this Abarth especially does.
They absolutely
more than most.
Right.
Okay, everybody.
Okay.
That was sort of a car show.
It absolutely was. It was sort of a car show, definitely an Apex adjacent episode.
Absolutely.
All right.
We love you, everybody. Goodbye.